Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Of course, one last thing. Now, up until very recently, Pirate Software has not been in the limelight for quite some time. As a matter of fact, for this month, I was planning to go back and take a little retrospective look on what had happened and leading up to where he is now. But I guess, as they say, the cup runneth over, or in our instance, a milk carton, a glass bottle, if you will. Pirate Software has been caught lying again. Now, within the last week here, Ashes of Creation, this huge soon-to-be WoW-killing MMORPG, was officially rug pulled. Here we can see one of the many headlines here. 2 days after promising it was still worthy of your investment, the most successful Kickstarter MMO ever was canceled and its team laid off. Now, admittedly, a young quaker myself here, at around 2020, I actually have a screenshot of it. When I had no bills to worry about and only disposable income, I put $250,000 to Ashes of Creation. I took a screenshot earlier. So back in 2020, years ago, I've been a backer and I never touched the game. And now I'll never get to touch the game, and that $250 has been run away with. Now, I think many of you longtime ex-fans of Pirate Software know that he was huge into Ashes of Creation. Matter of fact, he was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, streamer that was playing Ashes of Creation. He actually had a very huge guild on it that was a part of some drama. Don't pull the ocular. Oops, it was me.
God damn it, guys.
Oh, no, who pulled the ocular?
So one of you pulled the ocular. The lightning ball pulled, I cast lightning ball before that Oculus appeared, and half the raid was in the back because they pulled the wrong pack. I'm not at fault there. I'm correct there for doing that. 100%.
But we're not even talking about that. Today, we are going to be talking about Margaret Krohn. Margaret, I believe, was a community manager, and she was kind of talking with some of the other streamers. And of course, she lost her job in this whole debacle as well. From what it seems like from her posts, and we don't really have any evidence to support that she was aware that this was going on or that the CEO kind of just ran. Keep in mind, we don't really know 100% what was going on behind closed doors. There's plenty of information to kind of go about this, but it's not the main point of this video. But I'm talking about Margaret Krohn because her and Pirate Software had a bit of a back and forth. Now, to start this off, big shout out to Nephis QS here. They have the clip of Pirate Software that we're going to be using today to talk about what he was lying about. Now, specifically, Pirate Software left a little bit before Ashes of Creation actually self-imploded, and that had to do with a lack of moderation on AOC. And this is what he had to say in regard to that.
And I was sending them stuff back and forth with this, and I was like, hey, we got a serious moderation problem on the server. And we started linking them things. There was a guy that was actually posting comments about Jewish people every day, all day, right? He was just doing that every single day, all day. And the account would just change every single day. Guy never got banned. We had a guy that was saying that he wanted to form a group to go kill all the LGBT people on the server. We got a screenshot of that, sent it up to them. Guy never got banned. When I brought this up to them, what led me to quit the game was actually this response from Margaret, which I have right here. She wrote this: to be transparent about what happened on our end, we investigated the reports you and others submitted. The messages in question occurred within a very short window, roughly a 15-minute span, and involved only a handful of posts. Where some of this language used was inappropriate and unacceptable, our current moderation framework does not always move directly to permanent bans for first-time offenses of this nature. I think it makes sense for minor infractions. You rage out, you crash out, fine. But when you have a dude that's sitting on the server praising Hitler every minute on the minute, or saying that he wants to get a group together to kill gay people, you probably should ban that person. I don't feel like that's a stretch to ban that guy. And those were the ones we were reporting, and they didn't do it. This made me quit the game.
Now, I think the most people seeing that clip, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, those people should be banned. I agree with Pirate. That's not really a stretch. But the way that Pirate was framing this situation wasn't it wasn't truthful. Now, here is following up Margaret. I believe this is on her Facebook post, kind of similar to the Twitter post, similar to the Reddit. She kind of posted the same thing everywhere. People were mentioning Pirate's video. He made a full video, and that's where that clip is from. And this was her replying to people mentioning this. And she said, this was not what that message that was sent, that was shown on screen by Pirate here, was in reference to. It was in reference to someone calling him ferret fucker and good shit, your Kiwi Farms page is booming. We actioned the account, but did not permanently ban the person. Those other folks saying super egregious things, like saying they wanted to kill LGBT people, we were banning, but we had a small team and we were working through banning them as we got through them in our queue. Another reply here saying, I know. I even sent Pirate Software a message with this information as well, and Kronos. So if they want to make it right, they can. But if they want to just take things out of context, Nothing I can do other than state the facts from my perspective. Now, I'm inclined to believe Margaret is being a bit truthful here, being as, you know, Pirate Software has in the past come after me by showing things out of context. Now, following up after this, I'm going to be reading through the direct DMs between Margaret and Pirate Software as they were leaked directly from Pirate Software himself. I want to explain that a little bit because I think this will help us understand why he released these, because it is very interesting that he did. He was talking about people that were saying some very unpleasant things, people going after LGBT people, you know, just these heinous things. And he was saying that that message was in response to that. And then Margaret had also been messaging on Reddit, things like that. And actually, I'll show Pirate talking about that. He says here, she posted this shit 8 minutes ago, and it's a reference to the message that she said in response to, I'm guessing you're standing by your statement that Pirate lied by omission about you in this video. Margaret says, no, I think there's misunderstanding on that. I want to talk to him and hopefully we can chat sometime, but dealing with not having a job and helping my coworkers get jobs. He says, we talked last night and I called her on her bullshit. So the idea that there is a misunderstanding is a fucking lie. And she wants to talk. We already did. And then he's replying to another person that I'm not going to show names of here, saying she's totally lying to save face. And he says this. This is from Pirate's personal Ashes of Creation Discord. Like, you have to apply to get in from my understanding. And an ex-fan of Pirate, after, I guess, reading through the leaked DMs, ended up leaking these messages. Following up after he posts the chat logs, he says, that is the full unedited log of our interactions. Margaret has directly lied. Following up after that, he says, sick of people fucking lying. Sick of people fucking lying about shit like this at my expense. Misunderstanding my ass. Now, it seems like, which is strange, that he's also commenting and being upset about the fact that she lied about talking to him. Now, admittedly, as a fellow terminally online individual myself, I figured, yeah, that it does seem a bit deceitful. But turns out in the real world, sometimes people are differentiating between messaging between two people versus actually speaking to another human being. Following up on that Reddit post I was mentioning earlier, someone had pointed out, didn't you just talk last night? Funny. She responds, yes, I did DM text him after I watched his video. What I meant by that is I want to talk to him someday, not type to him. I just don't have the spoons for that right now for obvious reasons. Now, the moment you guys have been waiting for, let's go through these DMs. It's going to start with their interaction from just a few days ago, and then it's going to cut down to the messages that they were talking about, they were exchanging, what Pirate is even referring to. Right before we get into that though, pretty please just subscribe. We're like 500 subs short of 100K. I want to fill that blank wall-ish area there with a silver play button, and thank you preemptively for everyone helping us get to that number. Also, if you're liking this video so far, want to get in front of more people, give the video a like, perchance a hype, and help us get some other people quanking it. That's what I'm calling it. We're the Quanker Nation. Come join the Discord if you're 18 up and like to play video games and talk drama. Shameless plug over. Thank you for watching, and now let's get into the DMs. So starting off with Margaret. Hey, Pirate Software, I wanted to be clear with you based on what you quoted from our DM in your video here. This was not what that investigation section of the message was in reference to. It was in reference to the person saying ferret fucker and good shit, your Kiwi Farms page is booming. We actioned the account but did not permanently ban that person. Now I will say, that makes sense. Calling someone a ferret fucker, I don't think that should immediately get you a ban. Probably should time you out, mute you. As well as referencing the Kiwi page, that's not something that they can really, like, okay, you're referencing a public website that exists. Continuing on though, those other folks saying super egregious things like saying they wanted to kill LGBT people, we were banning, but we had a small team and we were working through banning them as we got through them in our queue. I just wanted to clear things up on the front because it seemed things got misunderstood. Pirate Software responds, hello. Your version of events in this message is not correct. On January 6th, 2026, I reported Irish Kiwi and Avok to you for making accusations that I sexually abused the ferrets at our rescue and for claiming they were a part of Kiwi Farms, the hate group that organized swatting my home. They did this in-game and screenshots of their messages were provided. On January 14th, I then messaged again stating that the players had not been banned in the provided ban wave and stated this was against the game's TOS. Your response was that not every report may result in a permanent ban and the ban list only displayed characters that received a permanent ban. You further explained that your team was unable to handle the influx of tickets. I then stated to you again what Kiwi Farms is and that they were involved in swatting my home multiple times in 2025. On January 14th, Kronos then provided an image showing the player Gooby stating that they wanted to form a group to kill LGBTQ players. Your response to this was to contact local law enforcement and that responses are delayed due to a small support team. You also stated that you would look into escalating the tickets in the queue. In the next communication, I directly state that Avok, Irish Kiwi, and Gooby did not receive a ban or suspension. We could see them clocking hours on Steam for Ashes of Creation throughout all of this. I provided an image of the support team response to my ticket. Your response to this message was the one shown on stream. At no time did you ever state that an account was actioned in any way. You stated, while some language used was inappropriate and unacceptable, our current moderation framework does not always move directly to permanent bans for first-time offenses of this nature. The response was then discussed and highlighted on my video, and it was a direct refusal to commit to enforcing the TOS in a tangible way. I have a log of the entire conversation and can display it for you if necessary. What more do you want to discuss? Margaret responds, dude, I don't work there anymore. Before, I used to avoid talking about what actions were done per person, and I was being careful about what I said. I'm just telling you what the actions are now because I have nothing to lose. I don't have a job anymore. I wanted to be clear about what that one section was in reference to. That's all. Take it or don't. Pirate responds, doesn't matter if you don't work there anymore. You stated one thing to us and now a completely different thing in public. You've misrepresented the entire interaction you had with everyone in that conversation. The entire chat log shows what I said above is the actual course of events. Also, you weren't just clearing this up with me, you were spreading it online. And he shows the Facebook messages and also the, I believe the Twitter messages that she had been posting. And now we get into these leaked messages from Pirate Software that should completely prove his timeline of events that he just outlined. This is Editor Quinthio, still in my garb because I figured I might have to do this. There was a lot of reading off of messages in this one, so I'm going to, at my own discretion, kind of cut through some of the extra reading that I might have been doing. If you see these jumps and go, hey, you might be taking things out of context, I will leave a link in the description to the leaked, logs that I am going over. So feel free to read them at your own discretion. I'm only going to be cutting out stuff that is just like extra jargon or I don't think is necessary to the main messages and points. I just realized after recording that it is a fuck ton of reading and I might be able to skim out a bit of it, but just wanted to let you guys know. Anyways, enjoy the video. Off to this start, we can actually see just a little bit in here. I have to assume this says ret and then hashtag, hashtag, hashtag. It looks like it's saying ferret fucker. Pirate says on January 6th, he does have the dates right. Reporting these to the website. Now, this is very clearly, it appears what he's referencing. Reporting these to the website. Any ETA on an actual in-game /report feature. And down here, he shows the message, good shit, your Kiwi Farms page is booming. This dude needs to be banned. That's a hate site that harasses content creators specifically to get them to off themselves. He sends a link to Kiwi Farms. This other person working, I'm assuming with AOC and helping Pirate says, what server? Lineth NA? They go through confirming that. I sent this to our team. Pirate says tickets are in as well with these screenshots. A ton of people just don't report stuff due to the lack of a /report in-game. Pirate says, any news on this? The player is still in-game after multiple days. And for added context, Kiwi Farms is the group that organized my being swatted 6 times in the last year, each of which has a police report attached and felony charges should they be caught. This isn't a small deal. Adam says, I'm checking with the team. And then Margaret says, can you please put in a CS ticket? And then she adds, for context, customer support would need to investigate to decide actions for users. This is not something Adam does. In the meantime, please also block users they're messaging you and you are not wanting to get their messages. Pirate responds, I already have 3 times. She says, awesome, thanks. Toss me ticket numbers if you would like. Margaret says, thanks. We have a lot of tickets still getting through December during our break, so it'll take some time. It is January 8th and they are still working through the December tickets, so clearly they're quite backlogged here. Pirate now starts talking again on January 14th. As per the list of bans, the players I reported still have not been banned. As per their Steam pages, they are also still active in the game. Not only is this directly against your and Steam's TOS, it gives an incredibly bad impression of the game to my entire community. All of this was reported 8 days ago now, and nothing has been communicated back. Can you explain to me why no action has been taken? He shows reference to the fact that this stuff is against TOS. Astute observation. Margaret responds back, we understand how frustrating it can feel when you don't immediately see visible action, especially when the behavior reflects on your community's experience. A few clarifications may help. Not every report results in a permanent ban. Depending on severity and context, some cases warrant warnings or temporary actions, etc. The ban list only displays characters that have received a permanent ban within the last 30 days. It doesn't show every different moderation outcome. She reiterates a second time. Our support team is currently working through a very large queue following our holiday break in December, and response times are taking longer than usual. I just want to say this now to get it out of the way. maybe they have a queue of all of these TOS breaking tickets that are showcasing these examples of people breaking TOS and saying bad things and whatnot. But it seems that because Pirate, is streamer and is talking with these people, that he feels that because he's able to directly show these examples, that he gets to have priority in that queue. There are people that could have been saying far more egregious shit, which is, still crazy, that just hadn't been dealt with either yet because they weren't there in the queue. It has been made very clear, and Pirate is also aware of the fact that this moderation team is small. It's been told to him directly from Margaret multiple times. Now, don't get me wrong, he has no obligation to stick around. He has no obligation to, I understand, you guys can take all the time you need. He can leave. The moderation team can just be too small for an MMO. But it seems like he's butthurt because they're not taking care of his personal tickets that involve someone calling him a ferret fucker and someone else referencing Kiwi Farms, which is directly what he screenshotted and showed Margaret, which does not line up with the claims he was making that this was in reference to someone saying we're going to kill LGBT people. He is directly lying about the chain of events, and for some reason, I guess after not reading through them, posted these leaks. So I'm confused. This is him blatantly lying. Now, is he doing this maliciously? I'm not really sure at this point. There's been proof in the past of him just being an idiot and being wrong about stuff that he was very confidently thinking he was right about. But let's just continue on. Pirate responds back again. This person explained very publicly that they are a Kiwi Farms user and is spreading attack information from that website. I've been swatted 6 times in the last year due to this group, and he just keeps talking about that. He says, this is absolutely not taking TOS violations seriously, and I am disappointed by your response. If this is somehow not egregious enough to be moderated by your team, then I have no reason to continue playing. My brother in Christ, they're going through the queue of potentially TOS violating tickets. You aren't special because they're calling you ferret fucker. Now, finally, on January 14th, Kronos is the first person to bring up these people, and he has a screenshot here about people grouping up to go against the LGBTQ community. He says, on top of the above, a number of people keep reaching out to us about comments like the attached and whether anything is actually being done about moderation day to day. While I am generally of the let it cook mindset and to leave time for things, active moderation of the community can't wait 8+ days like the above issue to get reviewed and actioned. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's a good point. If people are spamming shit like this in the chat globally, like just on a public day-to-day thing, that makes sense. But again, they're doing the best with what they can. I think that is fair criticism that they're not responding to things accordingly. But Pirate has been misleading, has just been completely wrong about what they were talking about in DMs, or at the very least, the timeline does not match up with what he's saying. And it's very clear that the messages that she had given him, that he's bitching about, being too corporate and whatnot, are clearly in reference to the Kiwi Farms thing and the ferret comment. Do you think perchance there were other messages during other parts of the days previously that may have been the same thing as this, or may have been something just as egregious, that are still waiting in the queue, waiting for them to resolve because they're fixing ones that were being messaged during Christmas? Again, it just seems that Pirate feels entitled that the issues that he runs into be solved first. Margaret responds saying, we hear you, and we want to be very clear that we take concerns like this seriously. If at any point you feel that your personal safety is at risk, we strongly encourage you to contact local law enforcement immediately. We can and do take action within our platforms, but threats that extend beyond the game or into the real world are best handled by the appropriate authorities. Now, question for the viewer here. Do you think that Margaret here is referencing the LGBTQ comment by talking about personal safety being at risk and contacting local law enforcement? Or do you think it's maybe Pirate talking about how he was personally attacked and swatted 6 times, and that he's worried that this person talking about the Kiwi Farms thing is a part of the group that has swatted him 6 times, which seems to be him clearly alluding to the fact that it might become a 7th time. In my personal, humble opinion, take it with a grain of salt, I think she might be talking about that. She continues with, we are also aware of the issues created by our response delays. Our support team is very small, and following the holiday period, we are working through a significant backlog, almost like she said this twice. Reports are reviewed in the order received and investigated carefully, which can take time, especially when context must be verified across multiple systems. We will see what we can do about moving your tickets up in the queue. Moderation is not being deprioritized in favor of RMT enforcement. Both are active, ongoing efforts. However, volume and staffing constraints mean we cannot always act as quickly as anyone would like us, including us. We recognize that delays impact confidence, and we are actively evaluating how we can improve both visibility and turnaround time. He responds back what looks to be just about 2 weeks later, January 27th. To wrap this conversation up, this is my response from your support system. The players, Avok and Irish Kiwi, did not receive a ban or suspension of any kind. Neither did Gooby from Cronus' screenshot above. They were clocking hours in the game every day since this report was sent and continue to do so. Moderation has become unmanageable in both the response time and outcomes as shown by this entire conversation. I already had to hide global chat on stream due to the number of people praising Hitler and spamming racial slurs all day. With that, I could at least explain it away as growing pains or a backed up system of tickets. This though, we followed the entire book of reporting in our system. We put in tickets and alerted you to exactly what was going on in game. We showed screenshots, and many other players also reported this activity. You chose this outcome intentionally, even while being fully aware of the context. Based on this, I will no longer be encouraging my community to play the game, nor will I be streaming it. On a personal level, I am incredibly disappointed in the entire company now. You've lost my faith as a player and an ally with this decision. And we can see here attached, it's just the message from January 14th of him saying, hey, we took a look at it, and saying that they will be taking action in regard to it. Again, I don't think calling someone a ferret fucker is necessarily ban-worthy, but sure, maybe, muting them or something along those lines. And bringing up Kiwi Farms, I don't even know if that's like a mutable offense. It doesn't really make sense. He's given Thor shit. You can call that harassment. Also, you could just block him. Continuing on though, Margaret responds to this. Hey, I can see how deeply disappointed you are, and I understand why moments like this feel like a breaking point. You've stood up for us publicly, put your own credibility, etc., etc. To be transparent about what happened on our end, we investigate the reports you and others submitted. The messages in question occurred within a very short window, roughly a 15-minute span, and involved only a handful of posts. While some of the language used was inappropriate and unacceptable, our current moderation framework does not always move directly to permanent bans for first-time offenses of this nature. She is so clearly still referencing the ferret thing and the Kiwi Farms thing. She does not appear to be talking about the LGBT thing. In many cases, we issue warnings first with the expectation that behavior can improve. If it doesn't, we escalate. The approach isn't about minimizing harm, it's about giving people a chance to course correct before we move to irreversible actions. It's imperfect and it doesn't always align with how quickly or firmly others would expect us to act. They continue on. I also want to acknowledge the timeline frustration. Our team is small. We work tickets in the order they're received and we do our due diligence on each one. That means response time can feel slow, especially when you're experiencing this live on stream in front of your audience. I know we're doing our best doesn't erase that experience. She talks about what they're working on. They're actively building a much stronger chat filter and reporting pipeline, hoping that will make sure the worst messages aren't even being posted and will automatically surface violations to CS for action. But I also understand if that's not fast enough or not the outcome you hoped for. I just want you to know this wasn't indifference. It wasn't us choosing bad behavior over the community. It was us applying a framework that's still evolving in a game that is still very much emotion. Whether or not you choose to stay with us, I respect the honesty you brought to this conversation. I'm genuinely sorry that I've reached a place where you felt unheard and unsupported. Seemed like she was being honest and trying her best. Definitely still corpo speak, don't get me wrong, but seemed like she was being honest and fair. Two things can be true at the same time. They clearly do not have a large enough moderation team. That doesn't mean that you just get priority because you're messaging these people. They still had so many other potentially more egregious breaches of TOS to go over first. Now, in case you guys were thinking that Pirate was more focused and more worried about this person claiming to go after LGBT people, Pirate responds to this with issuing a warning to a player while they encourage others to engage in a website that swatted me is unacceptable. They tried to murder me, not in a video game. They told that team that I had murdered my father with a gun while spoofing my brother's phone number to make it seem like he organized it. This is the player we're giving a warning to. Think about that. Seriously. Don't get me wrong. He's right about the swatting. If you are swatting someone, you are genuinely trying to get them killed. Now, I don't know necessarily in regard to the details of these swatting calls, but turns out with a FOIA, yeah, I did get it confirmed that Pirate did get swatted. At the very least, on the one occasion that I got information about. I don't think he's really bullshitting about that. But I will say that if a person is just saying that your Kiwi Farms page is booming, that is not them directly inciting and asking people to get you swatted. That's not how that works. Continuing on, for the chat filter, you should know that filters do not equate to moderation and never have. Players have and always will find a way around filters. The only proper solution to this problem is a standardized and empowered moderation team. We literally moderate 4 streams simultaneously with a single moderator at a time with nearly 1 million unique viewers per month. A company of 250 plus, burning $850,000 a week in costs, should easily do better than our team. What's a community manager gonna do to get more moderators? You have made it very clear, and the fact that they've been backlogged from Christmas, I think makes it pretty clear that they're aware of the stress and limitations of their small team. Why does he feel the need to flex that he's able to take care of 4 streams simultaneously with a single moderator at a time? I mean, I'm sure that he's able to handle that now with a single moderator, being that his viewership has dropped off a fucking cliff, but I digress. He finishes this up with something interesting. You bringing up parting ways, the creator program like this, just makes it seem like you don't want to pay out the 15% on the approximate 40,000 signups I have brought to Intrepid over the years should the game succeed. Considering the circumstances, I want to know why you would communicate this as an outcome. Now, I've been giving shit to Pirate, but I want to bring this up because I think this is a bit strange. This became a bit more of like public knowledge. It always had been, but people became more aware of this fact that every single person that you got signed up with your referral code, like Pirate or these other streamers, they would get 15% of like a commission of the purchases made on that account. I believe it was maybe just a sign up, but it could have been cosmetics too, anything like that, whatever. Now I'm going to show her response to that, but people were like, oh, so Pirate was, you know, in on the scam. Like, he didn't like Ashes of Creation. He was just doing it for the huge fucking payoff when the game would go to release. Other people were claiming that he was going to be getting paid out this 40,000 sign up 15%, you know, commission thing. However, it's been confirmed that that would not have gone live until the game went live, which it did not, which means that he's not seeing any of that money. And people are still giving him shit for that, which doesn't make sense. The dude is not clairvoyant. He would not be able to look into the future and see that the game was going to fucking topple. People have brought up that there was a dude that was poking holes saying that the desert in Ashes of Creation was completely empty, and Pirate actually had a good response to that and defended it pretty decently. Like, again, we didn't know for a fact that AOC was a complete and utter scam until the rug pulled. Or at the very least, I'm sure I'm gonna get like 4 or 5 comments being like, well, I fucking knew. So, incorrect, Wuzo. Honestly, I don't think that Pirate thought that this was a scam. He himself, I believe, logged in, I mean, from his own claims, like approximately 3,000 hours into Ashes of Creations. Did he like the idea of getting a 15% commission on 40,000 fucking, you know, signups? I don't doubt it. But I don't think he was trying to milk this, you know, for everything that it was worth, thinking that it was a scam. And I don't think it's fair to go after his intentions based off of this, because of course he'd care about potentially getting, you know, a nice little bit of revenue sharing here. So I don't necessarily blame him, but also from my understanding, it wouldn't have been actual money. It only would have been in-game currency. If he could have swapped it out for actual, you know, cash, okay, I still don't think that changes it, but I think it's something worth considering. Margaret responds to that. First, I'm deeply sorry you went through that. No one should ever experience something like that. Genuinely sorry this happened. For situations like this, we do have to ask that you work with your local authorities, as you seem to already be doing. We simply don't have the power or tools to investigate or act on crimes of that nature, and your safety is what matters most. She says, I took more time to reply here because I pulled one of our customer support staff aside to do another investigation now on that user's account, and their interactions with yours and those handful of messages during that 15-minute time frame were all that I saw. The action that customer support took made sense for that user's actions in-game. I also want to be transparent about what we can see on our side. There's no way for us to correlate the in-game account in question with the person who swatted you. I understand how painful that gap is, but we can't take action without verifiable connection within our platform. Otherwise, folks could claim things to us at any point to get someone banned for mentioning a website or other words. But I will say that if you encounter any more issues with these users in particular, please escalate these and we will move you up in the queue to resolve them as quickly as possible due to your circumstances. You're right that filters alone aren't moderation, they're just one layer. That's why we're working toward a stronger, more empowered moderation pipeline, better surfacing, faster response, and stronger internal workflows. We're not where we need to be yet, and I won't pretend otherwise. And then they clarify down here, the referral program and creator program are separate. Your referral benefits are not tied to your creator status. You will continue to receive those regardless of what you decide. When I mentioned the creator program, it was only in response to your statement about stepping away from Ashes content. There's no financial motive behind that, only that we don't want to lose you while still respecting your choice. Pirate replies back, we already work with local law enforcement on this and have since the first swatting attempt. In total, it's happened 6 times and will likely continue to happen in part due to situations like this, seemingly blaming her for not getting rid of him. It's common enough from this group that I know and work with local sheriff's office directly, and they call me when it comes in to verify that I've done nothing, and we coordinate on stream to prove it. The community never knows about it, and that's how it should be. Normalizing this kind of behavior is what empowers people like this to continue. He was making fun of you for what seems to be potentially crashing out and saying that your Kiwi Farms is blowing up. How is that a direct call to get you swatted? A direct lack of guardrails will give you a community of people that think this is okay. As shown in the attached message, this user directly referenced the website and at the same time promoted and labeled himself as a user of that website. As explained previously, Kiwi Farms is a source of this, and their stated purpose is to get content creators to commit through any means necessary. When you say there's no way for us to correlate these things, this message does so very directly. Feels like we're talking in a circle, as I've explained all this before. The main problem with this entire situation is that your current policies prevent you from acting until someone ends up dead or commits that over harassment. You have all of the warning signs here. You have the correlative message sent directly from the user. You know what Kiwi Farms is, yet you've decided to wait and see to retain this player as a customer. If you guys want to make an actual lasting MMO, then you need to fix this policy. Aside from the above is your own, and he gives, and he's like, look, TOS, it's breaking TOS. Margaret responds, yes, those are in our TOS, and appropriate action was taken. None of that means you get permanently banned. If they continue, it will escalate. They are on our watch list due to your circumstances as well. And then he left the group. Now I went onto the Ashes page just to see directly what he's talking about, and these are the 3 that he has boxed. So you will not harass other users. Harassment includes but is not limited to. And the 2 that he boxed over here, disparaging, defaming, name-calling, or engaging in any form of discrimination against another member of the community. Engaging in any sexual misconduct, including but not limited to sexual innuendo, sharing sexually explicit content, or making offensive or inappropriate advances or comments to a member of the community. Yeah, I would definitely feel those. Down here, it says the other one that he boxed, you agree that the list of conduct identified as harassment above is not exhaustive. We reserve the right to determine what constitutes harassment in our sole and exclusive direction. Like I said, I would say this for sure constitutes harassment. But unfortunately for Pirate, nothing here says by harassing another user, you're gonna get permabanned, which she herself clarified, none of it gets you permanently banned. So just so we're all on the same page, let's just really quick before we end this video, jump back to Pirate Software's original messages here, the ones from just a few days ago. On January 14th, which is true, Kronos then provided an image showing the player Gooby talking about the LGBTQ players. Your response to this was to contact local law enforcement and that responses are delayed due to a small support team. You also stated that you would look into escalating the tickets into queue. This is somehow implying that she is saying, oh, the LGBTQ thing, let's contact local law enforcement. That was directly in regard to you talking about that you had been swatted before and were worried about getting swatted again. Following up, in the next communication, I directly state that Ivok, Irish Kiwi, and Gooby did not receive a ban or suspension. We could see them clocking hours on Steam for Ashes of Creation throughout all this. I provided an image of the support team response to my ticket. Your response to this message was the one shown on stream. Again, none of the TOS breaks that you are talking about are always going to result in a ban or suspension, which is exactly what she told you. At no time did you ever state that an account was actioned in any way, almost like the email that he received that said, we're not going to tell you that stuff for privacy reasons. You already knew that going into it. And lastly, this response was then discussed and highlighted on my videos. It was a direct refusal to commit to enforcing the TOS in a tangible way. It was not them refusing to enforcing their TOS. She said they had a backlog on the queue. When she did get to your issues, she clarified with you that not every single instance of people being mean, in text or harassing results in a fucking permaban or suspension. Other avenues could happen. They could have muted. They could have done something. I don't know. I don't own an MMO, but I'm just mind blown at the amount of times he was repeatedly told, hey, we have a backlog. Hey, we're not going to ban every single person that is mean to you. But he got butthurt enough, and I have to assume misunderstood these messages enough that he felt confident to post these entire logs exposing this. Because at this point, I feel crazy that maybe I'm reading this wrong because of how confident he is that he seems to be right. I feel bad for Margaret. Hell, I might even be considering reaching out to see if she would like to do an interview to talk more about the Ashes of Creation issues that went down, her experience. It seems like she's been getting a lot of shit. Maybe some of it's warranted. I don't necessarily know for sure. We don't really know what was happening behind closed doors, but it might be interesting to get a bit more perspective, maybe even potentially getting a bit more information on her interactions with Pirate. From what I've seen, she's had the patience of a saint interacting with Pirate, because I was halfway through reading this and already getting irritated with how he was responding. Just incredibly entitled, and if your job is to interact with people like Pirate consistently, bless your heart, you weren't getting paid enough, and also, sorry that she has to look for another job now. But only time will tell. I hope you guys enjoyed diving back into some more Pirate Software drama. If you did end up enjoying yourself, why not stick around, subscribe, hang out. I'm doing it again. Be sure to like the video. hype it if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios. Peace. Bye.